Hey everybody, it's Mr. Fudge, your balloon man, and I am here with the amazing, awesome Brian Getz in Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, with pretty funny balloons. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Now,
So,
Brian, thank you for joining us today. It's so awesome to have you on. Um, Tell me a little bit about yourself.
so I am a professional balloon entertainer and decorator. So currently our business does about 50-50. I've been doing balloon entertaining for about 16 years and then picked up the decor and it's just sold and sold and sold. Everybody wants it and it's easy to fit more decor into your Saturday. You can always get up a little bit earlier, deliver a little bit more decor that you made on Thursday than to fit more birthday parties into time slots. So we've just really ran with that, and the decor has grown recently. Also, I have my wife, who I've been with for 5 years, and we've been married for 3.5 years. And she and I, she's the pretty and pretty funny, and I'm the funny and pretty funny. So she and I work together, 100%, and she is awesome. There are few people who can work with their spouse, live with their spouse, constantly be around them, 22 hours a day
Oh wow,
and not
yeah.
get sick of them.
So my
We
wife,
get along great. We
that's
really argue. We do great.
that's awesome. Yeah, my wife, she reminds me regularly that she did not marry me for balloons, and this
Yeah.
is my business, and she has hers. So tell me, like, what is it like working with your spouse and being with them all the time? Like, there's got to be challenges and stuff too, right? Like every relationship has challenges at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, people say that. I don't know. I haven't found them. No, no. I don't know if it's blessed or lucky. I just know that everybody, when we were dating, when we were getting married, everybody just kept on saying, "Oh, watch out, marriage is tough. You're going to have to really work hard. You have to learn how to listen and compromise, and you have to learn how to fight fair and not bring up the wrong things when you're arguing." And I just kept on waiting for the hammer to drop. Like, okay, we've been together 6 months. We've been together a year. We've been together 2 years. When are we going to start getting at each other's throats? And we haven't. So I happen to have an amazing wife.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
also
say
happen
you're
to,
pretty lucky. Christina's pretty awesome with that. She's unless you got
yeah.
hot pepper in your eye, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's not the nicest on that. But yeah, so it works out really well. We both know our strengths and weaknesses, and we tend to compromise well with, how most people get to the argument and after the argument, they get to the compromise.
Uh-huh.
We tend to just kind of go straight to the compromise
That's
and
great.
it tends to work for us. Um, so I have worked alongside other people in their balloon shops and, been working with other entertainers that are, I won't name any names here, but, I've been working with other entertainers where they are at each other's throats, or they're arguing about how to do different jobs or different gigs, or wanting to run different aspects of the company different ways. And we have a pretty decent division of labor. So what normally comes is that I'll work down. So I'll work on all of our emails, client communications, marketing, and that's because I've been doing she's 10 years younger than me almost, and she's been doing balloons for about 10 years less. And so while she excels at the entertainment and the decor, I've got that experience. And so it's tough, even recently, trying to integrate her into the client communication and say, okay, you know what? As we continue to grow, you're going to have to do emails. Let's put together some templates. Let's have you do that. So, but for the most part, I do all of that. And then the balloon decor, she loves nothing more than turning on her laptop and just blowing up balloons, time together, blow them up, do all the decor herself. So as we grow and eventually get employees, we'll have to, figure out how to transition her into a supervisor role. But yeah, so she'll do that. And then often I'll do emails, or I'll be catching up on business stuff, and I'll say, hey, honey, can you run that delivery out? Or you do the party, I've got to communicate with clients. Or more often, can you make lunch? And so she'll make lunch and I'll keep on the emails. And I feel like some awful feminist, forcing us into 50s stereotypes or something, but it works for us that she will go upstairs and clean something while I talk to the clients. And that's worked, but we're gradually figuring out, okay, how do we, as we grow, set up systems so that we don't have her just do all of the decor and me do all of the communication.
Yeah, that's great. So we were talking briefly before we went live, and you were talking about how you saw yourself as a small business and how you're slowly making that transition from small business to, as you said, medium-sized business. And that's what it sounds like you're describing there. What does that mean to you, that small to medium, and what's the next step, and what steps have gotten you to where you are?
Let's see here. Well, I started twisting 16 years ago. Got a kit for Christmas. Turned into a fun job, a fun hobby. Turned into a fun job. Eventually turned into a fun career. So I've been doing it as a career, as my only income, and not to, well, I've been doing it as my only income for even longer. But once I made that switch and said, okay, this is my career. This is what makes me all of the money. This is what I invest the money in. And when you're doing a master's degree or when you're working at a nonprofit on the side, or during the day and then you do the balloons to make money on the side, you don't invest that time. You don't invest your money back into it and your time. So once I became a career professional and said, this is what I want to do, I started investing and growing that. And then once Christina came on board, it was just, we skyrocketed because now we had two people to do all of our events. We were able to grow just organically, not small and large balloons, but organically grow because, well, you've had it happen where you've got a 12 to 2 event books you, and you say, okay, cool, I got this event 12 to 2, and then somebody else calls you and says, hey, can I do an 11 to 1 event? Nope. Can I do a 2 to 4 event? Nope. Can I do a 3 to 5? Okay, we can fit that in. Well, now that there's two of us, we just say, okay, we've got a 12 to 2. Awesome. Here, honey, you do the 11 to 1 and the 3 to 5, and I'll do the 12 to 2. And we can shuffle things around. We can take different trips to send our decor out. We can make it beforehand. She can make it while I'm doing the emails. And it all tends to work together. And so that was a major source of growth. And honestly, we don't do a lot of proactive marketing. We don't do cold calls. I know we could. I know that we could send out mail. We could go out to more networking events. I know all the things that I could do and probably should do. But you know what? Having the best website in the area, having the most skills, and finally being able to not, cross my fingers behind my back and say, the most skills, but being the most skilled in the area, putting the pictures of what we can do on our website, and then paying a bit to Google AdWords has really just gradually grown us about 15, 20, 30% a year. And so as we've gotten to that point, we're finally at the point where we want to start looking into maybe acquiring other local businesses that do decor. So we've got some things in the work. We'll see how those go out. Or getting some employees so that we can start having them handle some of our social media presence, so we can have them do some of our inflation and delivery. So we're finally hitting that point where two people can do it, but we're actually booked every Saturday. We're actually booked with both of us doing stuff. We're letting the housework fall by the wayside. We're not getting out and meeting friends or playing board games as often because we don't have time all the way from March through September of every year but 2020.
And
So
you mentioned board
so
games.
we find ourselves in that.
Like I say, you
Yeah.
mentioned board games. I had the privilege of staying at your place when I went up to FCM one year, and I have to tell you guys, this guy, he D&D's like none other, man. Like I went in there and I was so excited about playing D&D because I played before, but not really to the level. I was at a D&D cup. That's great.
It
And
is.
so, um, but we show up and he's telling me, "Yeah, I've got this project in the garage I'm working on," and it doesn't dawn on me. So I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, I'll help you with the project. I got nothing to do. I'm there a couple days early. So we're like painting the styrofoam. We're building this and doing that. It turns out we were building a D&D set that was like live action awesomeness. It was like the whole country of this campaign. It was so freaking cool. I was super excited about it. And so that's pretty
In
neat.
my And in my spare time, I do 3D print and then paint the miniatures, and I do print the terrain and, set those up in these really neat scenarios so that people can have more immersion in that. But I found myself saying, okay, I love doing these things, but I don't have the time 6 months out of the year during the busy season. I don't have the time to do that. And then when it finally came to the slow season, I would say, okay, I finally have time to goof around. And so now, as we went through this year's slow season, and now again, coming in with everybody on their forced virus sabbatical, I've said, okay, I am not stopping. I'm still working 40 hours a week. I'm still doing the things that I need to do to make the company run and get us set up for whenever there are big, when you do get to July and everybody's booked, everybody has stuff going on. I want to make sure that I'm totally set up for the busy season. And so I've got a lot of things, kind of on the books that I'm trying to do, from website design to sorting pictures to, making practice designs, just a lot of stuff, so that I'm not just sitting there, painting miniatures the entire winter, painting miniatures the entire virus season.
Now, I say D&D, you go big, but you don't just go big on D&D. Apparently, you are also a world record holder with Guinness Book of World Records. Is that right?
That is right. Let me do what you're not
sculpture?
supposed to do and just tilt that. I have the sculpture plans, and up there in the corner you see the you can see the certificate there.
So up in the,
so we are world.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
so you are a world record holder.
actually,
Now tell me first of all how you
We are
even
world record breakers.
Your world record what?
Breakers.
Breakers.
World record breakers, not holders. So
Okay.
somebody else has broken that record. But you know what? No one ever has been like, oh, you know what? I would hire you for my event, but you're not the current world record holder for the largest modeling balloon sculpture by a team of non-round balloons. So I don't think I'm going to book you. So for the rest of my life, I can put world record-breaking balloons. I don't have to go break the record again. I don't need to take it away from that huge team in China that did something bigger.
I won first place in an international balloon competition when I went to my first competition.
Oh, yeah.
And there were only 3 people in that competition. So you have something like that.
And you know what? International award-winning balloon artist is great. If you don't have some official award or a Guinness World Record, then you can say Indiana's premier balloon entertainment, and we do. Premier means absolutely nothing, but you know what? It sounds really great. And I tell folks, do these huge sculptures, and I'll tell you more about how we built it here.
I will ask you about those.
I always recommend do some of these huge sculptures, whether it's a full-size dinosaur or the house from Up or we flew a TIE fighter from a hot air balloon. So do these huge sculptures, because then you can go to people's tables, or you can have on your website the portfolio of the really big stuff. So I have literally a portfolio of the big stuff, and I can show that to people, and they say, wow, this guy's the best balloon artist in the world. I can put that out on a table halfway through the line if I'm doing line work, and I'm still doing dogs, swords, and other really simple, crummy designs, because that's what I have to do when we have 70 people an hour. But even as they're getting their butterfly, they're seeing, wow, this is the best balloon artist in the world, and then they're hiring me. And when they click to our website, because we have the best balloons in the whole wide world, and I'm not going to correct them, those are cool balloon sculptures, but because we have the best balloon sculptures in the world, they say, I want that guy. They book us, and they don't, they click on us, and fortunately we normally have the highest SEO, the highest search engine optimization, so we're normally number 1 in our area when they click, and then they don't click on 2 or 3 to say, oh, maybe I should get a quote from somebody else. Have a good website, make some huge sculptures, even if nobody ever paid me, and sometimes they do, but even if nobody ever paid me for the giant sculptures, it would still be worth spending the money to do those, spending the money to work with the team, because then people say, wow, I want that person for my team. And we do the giant sculptures at Kidvention each year. The goal is that everybody gets the confidence and the skills to make the sculpture, but also gets an opportunity to put that sculpture on their website. I hope they don't put it on the main picture on their business card or something, but that they can say, "Hey, I worked on this," and then they can get that benefit as well.
That's awesome. Now, um, you're talking about the benefit of doing these large sculptures and why you would get that, why you would want to break the Guinness Book of World Records and get that title. But how did you get it in the first place? How did you
Yeah,
actually?
absolutely. So I had always wanted to break the world record. I always wanted to make the biggest of something. When I was 16, I made a bucket list before everybody else had a bucket list, before the term bucket list in the movie was a thing. But when I was 16, I made this bucket list, and one of the things was break a Guinness World Record. And I figured it would be underwater Rubik's Cube solving or something obscure, teeny tiny, just some odd, obscure thing that nobody else would even think to do. And granted, balloons aren't the largest market, but eventually I got to the point about 5 years ago. I had been working my way out, making larger and larger sculptures, and I said, I think I'm actually ready for this. So I got a bunch of crew together. I found a venue, and then I stacked the odds because I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be fun to make? I looked at the dimensions that we needed to break, and I said, oh, wouldn't it be fun to make a castle that's 30 feet tall by 80 feet or 88 feet by 70 feet. But if I had made a castle, that would mean 30-foot walls all the way around the castle to make that work. That would be tens of thousands of balloons, perhaps 100,000 balloons. And I didn't have that big of a team. I didn't have that much time and or frankly the skill to manage that size of a team. And I said, what would be something that would work really well? And it was actually Lisa McTwister, Lisa McIntyre, that gave me the idea. She said, why not a dragonfly? And a dragonfly is perfect because it has very flat wings. So that's easy. They're long, but they don't take a lot of work like a castle wall. It has a very skinny tail, and it also has long, spindly legs. And so in each of the XYZ dimensions that I needed to break, I stacked the odds in my favor to do that. And then I got together, up to 20 people, on one of the days I think we had working, and I designed the plans. And the plans, again, are literally out behind me. But there they are. I framed them and had the whole crew sign them. But those plans, I literally sat there in my favorite photo editing software, which is Microsoft Paint. I literally sat there and I figured out what size each thing was going to be. I actually printed up a giant dragonfly picture and I measured, did a scale, figured out, okay, if each segment is this, multiply times pi, divide by number of segments. And I figured out what size each row and each balloon in each row would be. And it came out to about 150 rows. And the first 70 were easy because it was tail. But I still had to figure out what color each of those rows would be, each of the balloons in each of those rows. And we were able to just add the right colors at the right time and figure out, okay, these are 18 inches. Then it gradually slopes and you say 19, 20 inches, 24 inches, 26 inches. And you can actually figure out the whole curve and the whole shape of it before the sculpture actually takes place.
That's great.
So I was able to spend about 10 hours planning the whole thing out. And that gave me the advantage that I didn't have to sit there and say, oh, let's see here, that abdomen is only about 15 feet wide. I think it needs to be 16, and eyeball it like you might do if you were the only sculptor. You can eyeball things, but if you're working with a team on something that big, you have to plan it. So planning was important, working with the venue, getting all the people. And my philosophy is also work with great people, give them the opportunity to do it, but also take care of them. So I don't charge anybody to come to my build.
On these large builds, the organization of these people, that is a huge piece that you have to understand how to do. How do you go about, and I know it's obviously changed because you've done multiple builds now. How do you work with these large groups of people? You want to say hi, Emmy? I think my daughter wants to say hi.
So
this is Emmy.
Hi there.
That's Mr. Brian.
Hi, Emmy. How you doing?
You gonna say hi? She's staying up past her bedtime. She convinced Mom to pick her up and watch Cinderella, so that's what she's doing.
That
Give me a
works.
kiss.
Cool,
Mwah.
cool. Oh, oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay. Never mind.
Yeah, you can kiss the screen. I just have to put a little sanitizer. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, but no,
So
large
what
build
we,
organization. I'm sorry. I
I don't
apologize for
know.
interrupting uh, your question there, but
No, no. So how we work with the large groups is my philosophy is if you want people to work with you and be happy about it and all of that,
yeah,
one, I don't charge them. I don't charge them to come out there to do it. In fact, if I can, I try and cover their travel to get out there. If I can, if I'm getting paid for the sculpture, I try and get them a stipend. If I was in your area and you had time to spare, and both of us are pretty busy nowadays,
yeah,
but a few years ago, if either of us were in the other one's area and had time to spare, and I said, "Hey, Fudge, you wanna build a giant sculpture? It'll be really fun. Uh, I'll get you $200 for the day. I know your price would be higher if I was actually paying you your market rate of what you deserve,
yeah,
but you're going to feel a lot better about me saying, hey, I want to cover your travel. I want to get you something as a thank you.
yeah.
You're more likely to come out there. So I tried to get something for the crew. I also covered all their meals every day. So I did that. So it cost me money to make the giant sculpture. But the other thing is making sure that everybody has the ability to benefit from it. So being able to look at the plans, see how they could make their own sculptures in the future, give them tips and pointers on how to do that. Also, just making sure that you rotate people around so that some people can learn different aspects of the sculpture. If somebody says, I really want to learn how to weave, awesome. Let me show you how to weave. Even though I have Mike on weaving and Mike is great at weaving, I don't need Aaron on weaving. I'm going to put Aaron on weaving and swap out Mike and put Mike on inflation for a while because I want to give everybody an opportunity to do all of those tasks if they want. And there's some people that are so happy just, okay, I'll inflate. I'll inflate. My mom, she'll just inflate. And I'll show her what size. She came out and did a giant dinosaur build with us in Oklahoma
Yeah.
back in May, and she just came out and inflated, and that was her thing. She could do them exactly to the right size, and that freed up Christina and I to weave the body of the sculpture in.
Now, how many of these have you actually done?
Well, it depends on the sculptures. So the biggest one, obviously, is the world record. And we've done some other, prestige projects is what I'll call them for those super sculptures. The giant dinosaur, or the full-size dinosaur, the up house. I'm literally looking around because I have pictures of them all around me.
Now,
We did a
I saw
30-foot
the Up
rocket
House. You
ship.
did that just recent. That was your most recent one, right?
It was, yeah. So that was at Kidvention.
Yeah, Capital Kid. And this
Uh,
thing was colorful, it was bright, it was big. And from what I understand, you weren't planning on walking through it, but then you were able to walk through it. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. So I hadn't planned it on having a door because, if you put the door at the front of the house, then you've kind of got that nice porch. You got to duck your head and it'll get all messed up and you're stepping on balloons. But the reason we ended up doing this, and this sculpture was about 17 by 17 feet, maybe a little bit bigger. And then we had the big cluster of balloons. So all told, we're talking about 30 feet tall and 17 by 17. It was something like a 3/4 scale of this actual house. So it was enormous. And what happened is we built the sculpture and then we tried to rig up that giant cluster of balloons right in the center. And we had this beautiful rotunda in this hotel. It was the perfect space. And I went up on the lift and it set off the fire alarm for the entire hotel.
Do they have laser
And
alarms?
the crew had done the same thing. It was a laser alarm. The maintenance staff didn't have a clue about this.
Wow.
In fact, they tripped it. And then everybody evacuated. We came back in. And then they said, okay, you go up on it. 2 hours later, I go up on it. I trip it. And we realize what it is.
Yeah.
And so, they're not mad at me, but we do need to now figure out we've got this beautiful octagonal rotunda,
Yeah.
and we need to figure out how to put the whole sculpture off to the side of it and build it there without ever tripping this beam that is something like 17 feet, like 15 feet up.
Yeah.
Mind you, the sculpture is 17 feet high. So we're trying to move this whole thing, and we have built the bottom of this and the top separate, and we're now lifting the top over setting it on top, then putting on pieces of roof, and then putting up the giant cluster of balloons. So we're making all of these decisions, trying to not break this beam, and so it ended up on the side of this rotunda, which means that the back of it is never going to get seen.
Yeah.
We put all this effort into making all the colors exactly like they are in the movie up, and the back won't ever get seen. Well, we said, well, you know what? If they're not going to see the back, here, we'll put a door in it. And so we put this door there, and some of the pieces I had planned on intersecting straight up X wall coming up to support the roof.
Yeah.
Well, as it turned out, once we built the one wall, we realized we could just build a pretty strong, essentially a 2x2 matrix beam that went across. And so we had this beam, so we were able to put that intersecting with the wall up high so people could walk through while we're putting the roof on. And then we said, you know what, let's put this door. So now you had the inside view of this sculpture where you could walk around inside. It was really cool in there. In fact, there was a really particular, I'm a huge rocket nerd, and there was a launch going off, and it happened to get rescheduled 3 times, and they were going to blow up a rocket. It was the coolest. There was a launch aboard. You make sure they can get away from this exploding rocket. So I wanted to watch this so bad, and my class got scheduled right at the same time as this launch. I told my class, I will interrupt the class, we will watch a rocket blow up, and then I will close the laptop and finish the class. 5 minutes after my class is when it went off, and I'm sitting there on my phone, and there's 4 of us trying to hear the audio, and I said, we need someplace to listen to this where we won't get disturbed, and to the house! So we rush over to the house, we go inside of it, and there's 4 of us in this somewhat soundproofed giant up house watching this rocket, and sure enough, it blew up. It was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
And we got to watch this abort test inside of the sculpture. It was one of my favorite memories from Kidvention.
That's awesome. So that's fantastic. I mean, I'm really excited that you went over some of that. Now, we've gone over the up house, and we've gone over your Guinness Book of World Records. What of all your super sculptures has been your favorite so far?
Yeah, what's your favorite kid? Yeah, no, you got one, but yeah, my favorite was probably the logistics of the world record made it interesting. The superlatives make it interesting. The giant crew makes it interesting. But as I look up at the other one, we did fly a giant a full-size TIE fighter, 25 feet tall, from a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And so you had told me when I started making balloons 16 years ago that I would end up sitting in a meeting with the FAA for an hour and a half, convincing them that my design was flight worthy. I would have said, yeah, sure, I'm just making dogs. So that was a lot of fun flying that, working with the team. So that was a cool one. But I also love what to pivot a little, I love what the sculptures have done for me. Like I said, they're not necessarily the most profitable thing. A lot of the prestige sculptures, the really big ones, are ones that I've lost money doing just because they're fun. And then I make money by the fact that people say, wow, these are the best balloon people in the world. They definitely paid for themselves.
Yeah.
But there are some that people actually pay me for, and I actually get to travel the country, often making mascots for schools. I'll get to travel out to different schools and make a 15 to 18 foot tall mascot. And so I'll actually hold one up to the screen. I know it's not the best video quality, but
quality's pretty poor, but that's all right.
That's okay. But here's some of the mascots that we've done. There's an easy one you can see. So that's about 15 to 18 feet tall. So we've made these giant sculptures.
That's cool. And do you have pictures on our website as well?
We do, absolutely, yeah.
So what I'll do is when we get done with this, I'll also have you send me your website, and I'll post it in the description, and we can do a direct link for people as well.
Yeah, absolutely, whatever works.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've gotten to do some of those, and we've gotten to go now to 48 states.
That's nice.
And I've made it to 14 countries. And a lot of that is because we do these big sculptures, and then we have that opportunity to travel to different places. So that's really neat that people actually pay me to do the big sculpture, that I've found a way to make it work and profitable. Of course, as our local business grows, it starts making less sense to go travel. No matter the price, it makes less sense to travel to Maryland for a 3-day weekend and miss all of the local things. So we're doing a little bit less of that now. But yeah, it's opened up doors to travel. It's given me a chance to really get that experience with the large scale sculptures. I've got friends that do sculptures sometimes, that do a bit here and there on the large scale sculptures, and it really takes that practice of having done 50, 100 sculptures. I've probably done 75 sculptures now that are over 10 feet tall, and it takes that practice of doing over and over and over, so that when you see something that's new and you say, oh crud, how am I going to make that 3-foot tall nose work correctly, or how am I going to rig the wing on that eagle, that you can say, oh, that's like the wing on the dragonfly, or if I do the nose the same way I did the nose on the Patriot design, on this Trapper design, I bet it'll work about this, but let me tweak it. And you get better and better through practice. If you just do one a year or something, it just, you don't get that same experience.
That's awesome. Now, if you were to speak to somebody who's just starting out in decor, what would you suggest to them? What would you tell them? What would be your advice for them?
Well, I'll tell you what, honey, do you want to hop in? No, too bad.
Christina.
Here is my lovely wife. We're going to get her in there. So we have her already. We're recording in the evening, so she's already in her
It's good to see you.
pajamas.
I had a cat trying to jump up in my lap, and it was making circles just off camera. And it was so annoying. I had to be like, toss her out because she was distracting me. But
so we have little Tum Tum here.
Yeah, Tum Tum is a naked cat, right? It's hairless.
And indeed.
What do they actually call that? Is it just hairless cat?
A Sphinx cat.
A Sphinx cat. Okay.
Yeah.
So Christina, Brian has told us that of the pretty, funny balloons, you're the pretty and he's the funny. We have to ask, how funny is Brian?
He's funny. Yeah.
That's good.
So
you don't know how long you waxed eloquent about how pretty you were earlier. They can all attest here. So.
Yeah. I actually had to cut him off, and we had to cut some of it out because it was just so long. He was talking about how gorgeous you were. So.
Yeah.
But hey, Christina, I have a question for you too. What is it like working with your partner in a business, and what does that mean for you?
I think it's great. Like, we get to work together all the time, which is nice. And then he gets to go off to the colleges and do that for like 2 days, and I get the bed to myself, which is also nice.
And the TV. She gets to watch TV while she's long gone there.
To watch all those chick flicks that no one cares about otherwise.
No, Supernatural.
Okay, even better. That would be on my list. I've watched all those. That's awesome.
I just finished watching the last episode, so.
That's great. So, yeah, I mean, we've been talking for a little bit here. We've discussed some of the large sculptures. Since you jumped in, Christina, what's your favorite large sculpture?
That's tough. It's a tie now between the dinosaur, love dinosaurs, and the up house.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the up house. The up house is pretty cool, and I've seen some of your other photos too. So we're going to post a link to your website so people can look at some of the stuff you've done. Or if you have a direct link, we can do that as well. But is there anything else you want to share with people before we wrap up and call it a night?
Did you talk about the wedding?
Oh, no, I didn't talk about the wedding. She can talk about the wedding. That's what she likes. There's certain things that she loves talking about, and the best is the wedding.
Get the flowers.
Get the flowers. Okay, I'm getting the flowers.
We obviously are professional balloon artists.
Yeah.
So, of course, we had to have a balloon wedding. So, Janice White made the flowers for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
The fancy flowers. So all the bouquets and boutonnieres were balloons. And then my dress was made by Debbie Stevens. She came all the way from Canada
and you're just naming all these amazing people. I'm getting so jealous.
Right?
That was great. And so she had the balloon dress, and then I did a lot of decorations. We had
So we
some
had
friends that were
arches.
able to come in. We got married on a Saturday, which meant that, of course,
In August.
in August,
Okay, well, that's better.
which meant that
That's
it was
better.
tough to get entertainers to come to our wedding.
Yeah.
But several of them came down, worked with us on the decor, told us how proud they were, and then,
Left
worked their
to do
events.
things.
And so we were able to, make a giant balloon wall and a scene with a hot air balloon, because I proposed in a hot air balloon, a tree, a bench, caricatures of us. So we had this whole scene. We had a balloon arch behind the ceremony and decorations at the reception. And we even had some other fun things like our...
A bounce house.
We had a bounce house.
Nice.
Our goal was that if people walked away and said, this was the most fun wedding I've ever been to, we didn't care if people said this is the best or the most elegant, but every single person said this is the most fun one that I've ever been to. In fact, we put on all of the tables, we put little kits and balloon instructions and pumps and just some scattered 260s as centerpieces on every table, so that everybody, before we even came out there, could just blow up some balloons. We had some balloon entertainers that did come all the way out and
That's awesome.
make balloons during the reception. And so we came out, and magicians doing close-up magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to come out, and everybody, all the tables had all these balloons already that they had made themselves.
That's great.
And so, yeah, it was just the most fun ceremony fun wedding that everybody had seen. It was very nerdy. It was very balloon-oriented. We got announced and walked out of a Doctor Who TARDIS that we had built for the occasion. It now is storage in our studio, which I
I
will...
was going to say, I think I've seen that, right?
Yeah.
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 You've been to our house.
Yeah,
Peter.
yeah. I was just thinking
Yeah.
back. I was like, I think I've seen this TARDIS at your house. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we just went for the most fun possible, and by all accounts, we really did succeed. She's going and
Now,
grabbing the
I
cat
have to
again.
tell people too, like after being to their house, like not only do they have this really cool Sphinx cat, which the video quality is a little off right now, but it is like a naked mole rat looking thing, and it's pretty cool. But it just feels like it sounds like it should feel on your hand. It's not like a regular cat. But not only did I go in the middle of summer and see this cat, but as I'm walking around upstairs and I turn around and look into the living room, I see like 3 zombie babies fighting over the chair. And they've got these little like zombie
got another
dolls.
one. I got another one.
She did. We named it Corona.
Okay.
Um,
So
we
there's a lot of fun stuff in this house. This couple is not a boring couple, so I'm glad that we had them on. And I actually met you guys before you got married, right?
yeah, I'd met you a good while before that.
Was it Twist and
And,
Shout the first place we saw each other?
Yeah, I don't know about Christina, but
I think the first time I actually met you was at FCM.
Okay. Okay.
I think. No.
No, it had to be
Probably
before,
Florida
because I've known you
Jam.
before.
Yeah. You were in Florida Super Jam, right?
Yeah, so Florida Super Jam, Twist and
Yeah.
Shout.
yeah, probably.
Did you guys
So-
ever make
And,
it to Diamond Jam back in the day, or no?
We never did, and we try and hit a few. We try to hit a few conventions each year. So the last couple of years, we've gotten to go to Float because, as newer decorators, that's where we can learn a lot more decor techniques
Yeah.
and business practices and stuff. And then we also every year come to FCM because that's here in Indianapolis, and that's where we met. And then in addition to that, we also the dog and the cat are just arguing with each other here. But in addition to that, we also try and hit at least one other. So hopefully we'll get back to Twist and Shout soon, but we also lead the giant sculpture build at Kidvention, which is a great all-around convention that people can go to. I always tell folks it's it's a jack-of-all-trades convention. It's not the best magic convention, the best face painting, or the best balloons, but you know what? It's really well run, and there's something to be said for that cross-pollination of all the different disciplines being taught very well. It's a great conference.
I have to tell
So
you,
yeah,
FCM for me was amazing because there were, I want to say it was hundreds of hours of stage show performance. Like it was just a lot. So like you could
Yeah.
go and you could see something new every single day. And then like you said, you have all these classes, you can pick your own track, you can do whatever you like. So That was really,
Yes, those
really cool.
multidisciplinary ones are great, but then the straight up balloon decor or the straight up balloon twisting conventions, those are great too. We love any opportunity that we can get out there and learn, but also get a chance to teach some of our designs, teach the business, teach the giant sculptures. I'm always up for teaching folks more things.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it for sure. Now, do you guys have a YouTube channel or anything as well, or no?
I don't update it very much, but I do have some tutorials that I made years back. And so you can get to all of that from our website, which is prettyfunnyballoons.com.
Okay.
And then just click on the how-to button. We do have some DVDs that I've got 3 DVDs and one more that's getting close. And so we've got some DVDs that we're selling. And then we also have, just we're always available to help people out. Just if they ask us questions, we're always ready to give them a nice answer on how they can grow their business.
That's awesome. Now, on a personal note, I've started gardening, and as I'm gardening and I'm doing all this work, I've seen little tidbits of you guys because you actually built your house, right? Or built part of it, or what did?
So what we did is we moved shortly after we got married. We bought a 100-some-year-old general store. So this used to be a general store. Eventually had become everything from a foundry to a motorcycle hangout to a small engine repair shop to eventually a florist for 35 years. And eventually over that time it had fallen apart.
Yeah.
And so we had bought that after the previous owners had bought it, fixed the outside and gutted the inside. We came into an entirely brand new exterior that was really well done and an interior that was entirely empty. He had passed away, and so they had this white elephant they couldn't sell. Yeah. So we had basically the freedom. Buying a house for $80,000. Wow. Buying a house for $90,000. We were able to buy this, but then we had the total freedom to figure out, okay, this is where we want all our walls. This is what we want for our layout. We were able to get this great 900 square foot studio space that we created exactly to our needs. The upstairs we created exactly to our needs, and we did as much sweat equity as we possibly could. We did all the moldings, all the painting, all the framing, but
not the drywall. I was not.
We did not do the drywall.
No.
Pay somebody to do your drywall.
Everybody
They're better.
that is listening in, I just to give you a little bit of an idea of what their house looks like now. Upstairs is basically a beautiful, gorgeous, wood finished, like single story looking home, but on the bottom it's this beautiful, gorgeous built out warehouse and balloon shop, essentially, right?
And our goal with that is coming in. We said we never want to open up 9 to 5 every day and be a balloon store. Nobody goes into a balloon store these days.
Yeah.
They order from a balloon studio, from a balloon company, where they go to Party City. And so we said we can't make a store work, and we don't want to be tied down to that. So we said we have always called it the studio because this is where we make the stuff. This is where the magic happens, and then we can take it out. Of course, we make it beautiful in here and bright and colorful, and we try and keep it as cool as possible so that people can come in and see what we can offer. But then we also, it's all by appointment only.
That's
so,
awesome.
And we just recently.
Oh, go ahead. And I don't want to get too much into your personal life if you don't want to share, but like, you have. I've seen you put up fencing and take care of chickens and like all kinds of stuff, right? Like.
We started gardening like you, and we're great at tomatoes. That's about the only thing we're amazing at.
I don't eat tomatoes.
And she doesn't like tomatoes. Man,
I'm right there with you. I grow these Everglades tomatoes that are like itty bitty, but they're just everywhere. Luckily, my daughter likes to eat them, so she'll go and eat some. But otherwise, it's not even enough to make sauce. I had 60 of them the other day, and I couldn't make sauce because they're so small. But
so we started the gardening, and we put up a fence we got a dog, and so we had to put a fence all the way around our triangular property for the dog, but then we also have the garden, and we also have chickens, and we said, okay, we need to have an enclave fence inside of that fence for the garden, and so we now have 10 raised beds a 4 foot tall fence around the raised beds, and then we have a 3 foot tall fence. And this we didn't call a contractor for anything. We did it entirely ourselves.
I saw
We're
some of
very proud of
those.
the 140 hours and injuries that we put into that, and now it's beautiful. And yeah, we do also have a chicken coop. We have 4 chickens right now, and then we
We have
have
2 chicks upstairs,
and then
and
getting
we're
3
getting
more
3 more
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
So yeah, so they can have free reign of the yard whenever the dog isn't there to eat them.
Yeah,
And so,
that's good.
so yeah, so we have a full house. Again, 4 cats as well. So yeah, we have a full house. We love our place where we
No, it's
where
a
we live,
beautiful
and
property, and you're
make
right
it
next to that.
exactly what.
When I went up there, we did a long walk. You have a big nature trail right
Oh,
next to
Yes.
you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful place. Now, are
it's
you guys trying
They're
to?
fixing
I'm sorry, what's that?
they're
so
fixing the trail.
as this is being recorded, it's the midst of the whole coronavirus, and we came back and we said, okay, we came back from some training in Florida with Jonathan Gerber, and we came back and we said, okay, you know what? If we don't have any gigs, at least we're going to get fit this summer. We're going to walk that trail every day. We come home and they started construction like the day before. And so it's currently closed down, but you can kind of walk down a little bit and then get in. But it's just like, of all of the times to close down this beautiful river walk right outside our door, literally, 200 yards away, we've got access to kayak on the creek. We've got this beautiful walk. It's just an amazing place to live. And I always tell folks, Indianapolis is a really affordable place. Our cost of living and our housing prices are so low, but our business and our wages and stuff are so great. It's an amazing place to live. It's not a great place to visit. There's not much to do, but it's an amazing place to live, and we've carved out this perfect spot for ourselves. So you know what? If we're going to be cooped up somewhere for the next 4 weeks with nobody but ourselves, we're going to get along, and we're going to have a great place.
That's great. So, are you guys like homesteading, or are you just playing with the garden idea?
We just, we don't have any delusions that it's saving us any money even.
Okay. I was just
Buy
curious
some-
because I will tell you
Buy
that
tomatoes.
the
not in-
garden has
in-
cost me a lot of money. Now that I know
Yeah.
how to do it smarter, I could have easily saved a lot of money, but I did not know in the beginning.
It doesn't save money, and your time is so valuable,
Mhm.
but it's fun. And it's the same with the chickens. I said, oh, cool, we'll get free eggs. Eggs are $2 a dozen. Our coop costs $900.
Yeah.
Our
And the
chicken
chicken
feed
feed.
costs money, and the chickens cost money. And then, of course, they're pets for us. So after they stop laying, and they lay for about 3 or 4 years, then they stop laying, and then you run a chicken convalescent home for the next 3 or 4 years until they die. And so, it doesn't make money, it doesn't save money, but we love watching our chickens flap around in the yard.
That's awesome.
They're so darn cute.
Yeah.
And
great.
we love eating eggs that we raise. We love eating tomatoes. I love eating tomatoes that we raised.
That's awesome.
We love growing pumpkins that we don't sell. We're going to buy the stinking huge pumpkins this year. We're going to just plant the really big ones and hope for the best.
That's
So yeah,
fantastic.
it's fun. It's a nice hobby, but man, it doesn't save money at all.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Well, thank you again. That's Brian and Christina from Pretty Funny Balloons in Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll have their information in the bottom. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been a pleasure. And for the rest of you guys, come back and visit. Listen to the rest of our guys later on.